important for, and I know that a lot of scientists are not good communicators, but it's
No.
important for them to take time
Yes,
and,
yes.
look at the traditional trends and look at the newer trends as well in terms of marketing and communication. Like for an example, you will find those net kids or whatever,
But for eyes.
yeah, they've got a special skill in most cases. If you are not an all-rounder, there are times where you will stuck. You will invent, be innovative, but you don't have a certain skills like communicating. And
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Penny, and you already know that this is SA Science Spotlight. And of course, today's event, we have one of our main guest speakers coming through, and we thought we could just take some time and sit down, have some insight with the main man himself. So right now, I'm chilling with Mr. Mokete Radebe. Welcome. So I thought I should read it so I don't get your name wrong. Mr. Mokete Radebe is a seasoned broadcaster and the chairperson of BMS Gauteng Subcommittee, Marketing and Communication. But before we get into it, can you please explain what your portfolio is and what is BMF for all those who don't know?
Okay, so thank you so much for inviting us, Penny. So the BMF it's actually a brief of the Black Management Forum, and what it stands for is that it is an advocacy body for Black professionals in the broader space of South Africa. Our interest is on young professionals that are in the space. It's on professionals largely, and it's also on entrepreneurs. It expands to any profession that exists in the country, and of course our keen interest is on advocating for Black people to among other things find space to equally be rewarded for the kind of influence they bring in our corporate space.
Oh, that's nice. No, that's amazing. So, in line with the theme of today's event, which is all about innovation and obviously young people for the Youth Day long weekend, in relation to your profile, how do you think young entrepreneurs can use marketing and communication to amplify their ideas and effectively make an impact out there?
Look, I think the limited challenges that are facing most young entrepreneurs and young people too, in particular, it's the very fact that they do not know how to position themselves for the right opportunities. They don't know how to brand themselves and their organizations and their companies, in such a way that they will be able to attract investments. So I think I was brought in to outline the importance of corporate identity, the importance of appreciating the unique relationship between one's corporate identity and one's corporate image. Because when you neglect your corporate identity, you are forcing consumers to form an opinion about you, which sometimes would not necessarily be in line with the identity you want to present. So I think it was very important for us to indicate that particular aspect and infuse it with our our lived experiences. And of course, you're looking at the fact that I've been in broadcast for some time, and I've been in corporate communications for some time as well. So there is certain things that we know that we feel that we can share with our peers that are young as well.
So what are some of the solutions that you would like to share, maybe based off on just the minor challenges that you just mentioned right now?
Look, young people today, are unable to, in their own, business ideas, are facing challenges around competition. There's too many young or upcoming, artists and businesses, so to say. So there's no time for missing the plot. The market is volatile, and it demands that people must be technologically savvy. You need to adapt quickly, but you need to also have your 7 Ps, in the right order. You need to have positioned yourself, accurately and beneficially for those that are around you. So it is important for businesses to know who they are, why they exist, but also be able to tell a story in how you promote your organization. Today the consumers don't care about what you want, until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So if you are unable to use storytelling, you're unable to promote your organization, your idea in such a way that will be compelling to consumers, then you are in one way or the other sort of disadvantaging yourself. And I think it's quite important for young people to take note of that.
Oh, that's interesting. So with us, we are a science spotlight podcast that showcases everybody making big strides and big impact in the world of science, whether it's agriculture, food safety, pharmaceutics, all the way. It's so broad. And the current trend now, we're seeing a lot of people in academics venturing into entrepreneurship,
Sure.
with them like getting patents with the work that they are doing, and then venturing into entrepreneurship. So now, what advice can you give there, or what is it, or what communication technologies can young entrepreneurs, especially in the field of science, use to kind of like broaden their and widen their audience? Because with science, it's a much more specific space. And when you're starting a company now, especially with something as specific as whatever it is relating to a field, what are some of the communication technologies they can use to widen their audience and have a greater outreach?
Look, we are in a dispensation where communications ought to be integrated. We integrate marketing and communications, looking at the newer digital ways of communicating, infused with your traditional media platforms like your newspapers, radio, and TV. So there's a serious need for that. But I think it's important for me to highlight this particular point, given the fact that you were referring to people that are in academia, and
Yes.
science being a very, very critical point for us. Agriculture in science, it's so important, because that is the backbone of our country. We eat, we clothe agriculture.
Yeah.
So it's important and I know that a lot of scientists are not good communicators, but it's
No.
important for them to take time
Yes,
and
yes.
look at the traditional trends and look at the newer trends as well in terms of marketing and communications. It's important for our scientists to realize the demands of consumers today. And I made an important point in the presentation, the inside, that you cannot, market, you cannot sell to consumers that you do not know their behavior. So it's important for you to look at, and I was making, an effect to a theory that is well known in marketing, the user stratification. It dictates that we need to know who our consumers are, we need to know their behavior, we need to know factors that influence their purchase decisions. And once we know that, once we have those demographics, once we have that profile, it is easier for us to be able to package our offering in such a way that will be appealing to them, that will be compelling to them, but most importantly, that will be able to make them feel more comfortable and to find a sense of belonging, a sense of trust amongst them. Because of the business today, it's about trust. If people don't trust you, they will not want to interact with your products.
Oh man, that is so much insightful knowledge, especially for people who are scientists and trying to break into the market of entrepreneurship and starting their own business. Most of them actually don't have good communication skills that you said, but they know their work, scientifically speaking, whatever it is, the product they're trying to put out there, but it's not enough for you to actually drive the product and put it out there in the market for you to just know. So thank you so much for all those valuable advices, and for everybody else to actually take note of all the things that you can get and learn from our experts today. So please stay tuned with us. All right, hi guys. Right now I am sitting with a media expert, and his name is Tebogo Manganyi. I hope I said this right, because I was taking some time to practice.
Manganyi.
Manganyi.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Tonga, by the way, guys.
Yes.
Such a beautiful surname. We are SA Science Spotlight, and what we're all about is showcasing how young people are now rising in the space of science and coming up with a lot of innovations, and also diving into entrepreneurship with what they know. So as I was sitting there, you were speaking so fondly about the power of storytelling. So now what I want to understand, in relation to the young people that are specifically in academia or in the space of science, as broad as it is, from agriculture to pharmaceutics to all the way, and how they are now using their platform to be entrepreneurs. What do you think are some of what role does language play, especially in communication between home language and English, in translating or communicating scientific ideas, or just transitioning into like an entrepreneurship in the space of science? In the space of science,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think with my understanding, um, everything starts at a young age. Really, this nowadays, I'm so much excited about how things have turned out, because we've got institutions like the CETAs that are more in support of any technology, be it agriculture and so forth. That is why most of the time you'll find young kids, when they are at the secondary level, they get to be exposed through the career expo.
Yes.
And in those career expos, then there are so many opportunities and information that you will get, and also to know as a young innovator, how can you move from that space of inventing something at that young age to take it to the greater heights through the
Yes.
CETA support, finances, and so forth. So most of these programs, they take them to schools, which is what I like. So
Oh.
I believe that space, it yet to be explored a lot. People
Yes.
need to look into that, because that's where you get the whole package. Because it's going to be difficult for a young person from a certain village to make it into the world space without a proper support.
Yes.
So I think through the space of CETAs, and how the initiative are being supported and granted, and also taking it to schools, I think that's where things are starting to make sense for me.
I love that you say that, because a couple of months back, I was watching the news, and there was this talk about government wanting to integrate teaching and learning in their own indigenous languages and moving away from English. So what do you think about that idea, and what kind of impact, if that were to happen, would it make, especially at the school level, moving all the way up?
Um, okay, personally, in terms of the language, unfortunately, English become a center of attraction. There's no way you can communicate properly without knowing English. So now, if I were to make a decision on that one, if maybe I would be given powers, I would
Yes.
say, let's do home language, two languages, home language and English. For me, I will say that, because if you don't know English, how are you going to communicate with the outside world?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah. Oh, nice, nice. I hear what you're saying. But now, speaking about communicating your ideas to the outside world, in a much more specific environment where scientists or people who are now transitioning their ideas and their innovations into the market of entrepreneurship, what are some of the communication strategies that they can use to effectively communicate what they're trying? Because they already know, as scientists, because I feel like the thing about scientists is that they know the intellectual work, but then how do they then effectively communicate what they are doing to the outside world so that it makes sense and it also reaches a broader audience?
I think the space where you start um, communicating, it also speaks to how you then want to be seen as a communicator. Remember, there are people who can be inventors, ne?
Yes, yes.
Or people who are innovative, but also the character in a person. It's something that will definitely be taken away from. Like, for an example, you will find those net kids, or
But for eyes.
yeah, they've got a special skill in most cases. They are the ones who look at dikolong re gola re itse gore ba le ba di brelenyana ba re phala mo dikolong.
Yes.
And you then realize if you are not an all-rounder, there are times where you will stuck. You will invent, be innovative, but you don't have a certain
true.
skills like communicating. And that is why, in most cases, I believe forming a consortium makes sense, because
Yes.
you can't work alone.
And what power does social media have in influencing how these people are able
Yo.
communicate.
Social media, it's like the word media. That's why they say media can make you or break you. So social media has got into a space whereby it's even powerful more than the actual media space, like even more than
Yeah.
TV.
Yes.
Like for an example, when personally I take time to watch TV, I am always on social media. Everything
Yeah.
is there. So social media is powerful.
Yeah.
So the only thing is, how do we then get to channel the users or the consumers to then be able to use it in the right platform, so for them to then gain more or even achieve more through social media. Because
Yes.
remember, I said one thing in there, that South Africa is one country e leng hore e rata di-trends. Wa bona?
Yes. Yes.
We
Yes.
are a trend country, but let us not teach people to follow the trends, but sometimes positiveness,
Yes.
through social media. Social media is a big space. So other people buy very for the trends, others for good platforms. So let's go for positivity.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
All
We've
right,
learned a
thank you.
lot, and as you were saying in there, you've shared a lot of good insights, and we thank you for coming through the podcast, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank
All right,
you very
thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.